Welcome back to the Boardroom Breakdown. Today, we're diving into a crucial explainer on why early startup traction can actually be a double-edged sword, one that dangerously masks the operating problems that will eventually stall your scale. If you're sitting on an executive committee or you're a founder or investor navigating the growth stage, understanding this dynamic is absolutely critical. We're drawing from Mesh Digital today to unpack a really fundamental concept: why product market fit is definitely not the same as scale market fit. As you'll see, the exact methods that successfully get your company off the ground are very often the exact same ones that will break it as it matures. Let's take a quick look at our agenda for this explainer. We're going to build a framework for graduating your company from founder-led intensity to engineered, repeatable scale. We'll cover 1. The early traction trap. 2. Defining scale market fit. 3. Enterprise and capital realities. 4. AI amplification. 5. Installing the operating system. And finally, 6. Boardroom decisions. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the early traction trap. So, growth is fundamentally a great problem to have, right? But it acts as this incredibly unforgiving diagnostic of your underlying business. We all know about technical debt, but operating debt, that is the silent killer. It's the internal duct tape, the manual Zapier workarounds, those fragmented data silos that just inevitably pile up when a team is sprinting to their first 10 million in annual recurring revenue. Look, during early chaos, improvisation is great. It proves the product matters. But at scale, that same improvisation becomes a massive liability. The reality is, early traction does an amazing job of hiding the spreadsheets and the chaotic manual integrations that are actually holding the business together. But scaling up, it inevitably snaps every single one of those manual processes. Suddenly, higher volume completely exposes weak onboarding. Trying to build more pipeline reveals that your ideal customer profile is actually pretty vague, which pushes founder-led sales to the absolute breaking point. Then, just as you start getting real enterprise interest, procurement gaps suddenly block your major deals. And if you're going out for larger funding rounds, unreliable metrics are going to deter institutional investors instantly. Moving on to section 2, defining scale market fit. The crucial shift here is understanding what the market is actually evaluating when your revenue truly starts to move. And this distinction right here is everything. Product market fit simply proves that a market actually wants your product. That's a great milestone, but it's just step 1. Scale market fit proves that the company has the operating maturity to turn that demand into capital-efficient growth. It proves you can repeatedly sell, deliver, govern, and finance the product without creating massive operational drag. It's an entirely different benchmark. This quote from the source material hits the nail on the head. The founder's story is no longer being evaluated as a vision. It is being evaluated as an operating system. You have to realize that the scrappy team that found the market might not be operating in the way the company now needs to scale the market. And let's be clear, this isn't a criticism of the founders at all. It is simply a completely necessary evolution in how value is created. Which brings us to section 3, the enterprise and capital reality. Now we have to look at what happens when your enterprise buyers and institutional investors fundamentally change their evaluation criteria. A huge mistake growth startups make is treating enterprise readiness like it's just a late-stage compliance checklist. It's not. Enterprise buyers do not just buy features. They evaluate the entire company behind those features. Can this vendor actually protect our data? Can they even survive our procurement process? Things like security, compliance, and governance are no longer just annoying back-office concerns. They are direct revenue drivers that get deals across the finish line. And capital allocators have shifted their demands right alongside the buyers. We are out of the easy money era where growth at all costs papered over weak operating discipline. Today, modern underwriting demands absolute proof of how your operating cadence converts into true enterprise value. Investors are heavily scrutinizing Rule of 40 discipline, your CAC payback periods, and your burn multiples. A pitch deck can describe a great market, sure, but a proven operating system is what shows them whether your financial plan is actually investable. Let's look at section 4, the AI amplification effect. We need to talk about the AI angle very carefully here. Obviously, AI is the massive new accelerant in the market, but it introduces severe risks if your company lacks operating maturity. This is a pretty sobering reality check. AI does not magically fix a broken operating model. In fact, if used poorly, AI is just going to take your messy data, your unclear ownership, and your weak controls and turn them into a much faster-moving disaster. It literally just executes your bad processes at machine speed. However, when it is implemented with true maturity, the upside is undeniable. Companies that have AI deeply structurally incorporated into their products are growing twice as fast as their peers. But listen, achieving that 2x growth demands that your AI foundation relies on securely wired data, proper governance, workflow fit, and highly measurable use cases. It cannot just be cosmetic hype designed to look good in a press release. So, how do we actually fix this? Section 5, Installing the Operating System. Growth startups do not need a theoretical 100-page advisory deck to fix these problems. They need an embedded architecture to execute this transition smoothly. And this is exactly where Mesh Digital comes in, with their strategy in motion pods. The entire goal here is to help companies transition from founder-led intensity to engineered scale. Mesh provides these cross-functional squads that embed directly into your company. They align your business and product strategy, go-to-market, AI readiness, and capital access into one single accountable execution motion. They are focused purely on measurable outcomes, not adding overhead. It's really about building this scalable machine while you're still flying the plane. The execution follows these 4 concrete steps. First, you wire the data foundation so you're actually ready for AI. Second, you install the enterprise-grade governance that will accelerate your procurement cycles. Third, you harden your unit economics to stand up to modern institutional diligence. And fourth, you architect that critical shift from founder-led sales to a truly predictable go-to-market engine. By doing all of this, you make your speed completely repeatable, and you do it without ever diluting the founder's original vision. Let's wrap up with Section 6, Essential Boardroom Decision Points. This is the practical reality check that every executive committee, founder, and investor absolutely must confront to ensure durable value. Because, let's be honest, enterprise value is built long before a transaction ever occurs. The exact same discipline required to prepare for an M&A exit is the discipline required to build a self-sustaining business. So you have to ask yourselves, is the product roadmap actually tied to scalable revenue and enterprise readiness? Does the company have the data and security maturity to survive institutional diligence? Can you credibly prove your use of funds logic? Ultimately, it all boils down to this one final question. Take a hard look at this. Is your executive cadence still dependent on founder heroics, or has the company finally built repeatable decision rights? Answering that honestly is your very first step toward achieving true scale market fit. Because scaling does not fix operational chaos, folks. It just compounds it at machine speed. Build the system, protect the vision, and you will capture the market. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you in the boardroom next time.